I recently tried the two most popular AI tools to analyze stock market data and make it easier for me to identify winning investment opportunities. I started seeing a lot of content about making money on the stock market with the help of AI on YouTube, and I kind of wanted to take my own approach to it and share the multiple obstacles I came across while trying to make AI understand the stock market. In this video, I will compare the performance of ChatGPT from OpenAI and Bard from Google, and I will do this through four main axes. Number one, grabbing data. Number two, understanding data. Number three, doing basic maths on the data. And number four, identifying patterns in the data. Let's get started with the video. So the first step is to grab the data. And in the case of ChatGPT, it doesn't have knowledge of our world after the year 2021. And I wanted to play with somewhat recent data. Therefore, grabbing stock market data after that date is simply impossible. Using Bard was more interesting for this part of the experiment because unlike ChatGPT, this AI has access to the most recent world events and data since it is developed by Google, which has our whole world basically stored on a huge database. At first, I was happily surprised by the results from Bard. I was even impressed. As you can see, the data is displayed in a nice table without even asking for it, but as I double checked the data, I realized there was one major problem. It was completely wrong. I can't figure out why this happens. It looks like the AI is basically making up data and I haven't been able to identify any logic or any source for this. It's not even that the AI grabs the data from a different period and mistakenly shows it as the data from 2019 to 2020. It's just completely 100% wrong. I then tried to help the AI by showing it where it could grab the latest data for the Apple ticker. I thought it could potentially understand URLs and even read source code, making it easier to extract the right data. But instead, something crazy happened. Not only did the AI return some data, and the keyword here is some, but it also showed me the snippet of code it said it used to grab the data. The code snippet actually uses the Python language, which I'm very familiar with since I use the language to write scripts as well. I ran the Python code on my laptop, only tweaking it to show the output so that I could see what was happening in the backend. And it turned out that the URL from Yahoo Finance I was using was returning a 404 when trying to fetch the data, so it was not reachable, probably due to content being dynamically loaded on the website. The crazy part about this was that even though the script couldn't grab the data, the AI still returned the table, which was again 100% wrong. I have no idea where it found this or how it grabbed it. It just doesn't make any sense. It looks like it's completely made up, essentially. So grabbing the data was a big fail for both AIs, so I decided to help both of them even more by feeding them the data myself. So I started with ChatGPT. I downloaded myself the year-to-date Apple historical data with weekly intervals from Yahoo Finance as a CSV file. I then copy-pasted the raw data as a prompt and I hit send. And here I was happily surprised. It worked! So I informed the AI that this was data for the Apple ticker and I tried to fetch the data from one specific row and it worked! This was the most accurate output I got from an AI since the beginning of the experiment, and so without yet making any calculations with it, the AI was finally able to understand the data. I was even more excited to try the same thing with Bard. I used the same approach as with ChatGPT. I copy-pasted the data into a new chat and I waited for the output. And as we can see, I didn't ask the AI to do so, but it once again laid out the data in a nice table for me. And like with ChatGPT, I wanted to make sure that the AI understood what it was dealing with, and that's where we started running into problems with Bard. Because here, big red flag again, the answer provided by Bard is 100% wrong. I asked for the closing stock price for the ticker Apple on the date April 10th, 2023. Bard said that the answer was $138.38, but that's not true. The answer is $165.21. So to try to understand what was happening, I looked at the data returned by the AI in the original CSV file, and the crazy thing is that this data does exist, but it is from October 10th, 2022. So the scary part here is that although the AI provided 100% wrong information, it shows the output as if it was 100% right, even replacing the date from the wrong data with the date from my prompt. So this is essentially a fully fabricated answer. So in the end, while ChatGPT understood what it was dealing with right away, I couldn't get Bard to understand the data on this at all. So I moved on to the next part of the experiment, which is doing basic maths on the answers. The goal here was to get the AI to calculate the change in price from one week to the next, which can be found with a very basic mathematical formula. So with ChatGPT, the AI understood my request right away and provided accurate data. This was very impressive. I did not even need to explain what formula to use. With Bard, based on my previous answers from the AI, my hopes that it would get this right were pretty low, and let's just say that it only went downhill from there. When I asked Bart the exact same question I had asked ChatGPT, it again came up with an accurate way to get the answer written in Python, but there were three major problems. Number one, the code was missing arguments to get to the right answer. It only included data points for 13 weeks, while the original dataset included dozens more. Number two, the example answer it gave was wrong and vague. It didn't include which year the AI was talking about, and regardless, the change from one week to the next around those weeks in any given year was not 5.5%, whether in 2022 or 2023. And number three, by far the most bizarre thing, the source the AI linked to was just crazy. At the bottom of the answer, right where the AI says the output of the code would show, which it didn't by the way, it links to a random source that has nothing to do whatsoever with any of the prompts I entered before. This is some website for an animal rental program around goats from 2022. I have no idea what this is or how the AI could have possibly come up with this as a reliable source to calculate weekly percentage change in the Apple stock price. So for Bart, this was another major failure. And the last part of the experiment was about finding patterns. So at this point, it was pretty clear to me that Bart was out of the race, so I only tried the following, which you're about to see with ChatGPT. The goal was to try and identify some basic trends and patterns. I asked the AI what closing price we could expect for the current week based on historical data from the previous weeks, and it gave a pretty decent answer based on the average weekly change of the stock price, which is a good way to go about it. I also asked for an overview of what happened the next week after each time the stock dropped more than 4%. And here there was only one little glitch where the AI included a week where the stock didn't drop more than 4%, almost, but it didn't. But other than that, it was a great answer. And finally, I asked for some input on what interesting patterns or trends to look at in the change of the given stock price. And here there was a pretty comprehensive answer and again, pretty accurate. So, what to learn from all this? Well, the first thing is that 90% of the time during this experiment, I found that it would have been faster to code the solution myself rather than to ask the AI. The biggest downside of AI at the moment is that you have to be really precise and explain things the right way if you want to get accurate answers. And still, I find that the AI will fail you many times. While I do believe AI will revolutionize the way we do basically everything and the change is already underway, I just think it's not there yet. It's almost as if you have to be an AI expert to understand how AI works first and how to interact with it afterwards. And that's one of the reasons that there's, for example, a big market for AI prompts at the moment to help people better interact with AI and get good results from it. Now, in terms of face-off, which AI wins out of the two? Going into this experiment, I honestly thought that Bart would win because, as I said, it has access to Google's huge computing and indexing power, but in the end, Bart's performance was honestly more than underwhelming, and while both AIs started off pretty equal, ChatGPT quickly took the lead and stayed ahead for the whole race. So I would say ChatGPT wins here. Not only did Google's AI seem to fabricate answers when it couldn't find the right data, but it also linked to completely random sources as explainers, and it didn't understand basic requests even when I tried to explain to it how wrong it was. ChatGPT, on the other hand, was very fast to understand the data, and it was also a lot more accurate in its results. For both Bart and ChatGPT, however, as I said before, I found that coding the answer myself would have been faster than asking any of the two AIs. So although this was an interesting experiment, I will not move forward with using AI to analyze stock market in the future. I prefer to stick to my own coding skills and to my own brain. I'm probably not as knowledgeable as AI, but at least I'm quicker to understand, at least for now, until the robots take over. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and remember to leave a thumb up on the video if you liked it. You can also leave a comment to let me know your thoughts down below. Is AI gonna take over the world? Do you use AI to analyze stock market or to make money in any way with AI? Thanks again for watching. It means the world. See you in the next video. Enjoy the journey you're on.